Google are changing their tax policies for paying people. Unless you want to pay tax twice, you need to pay attention to this video. Hiya folks, welcome back to the Small Business Toolbox. I'm Andy Mack and I've run my own businesses for 25 years, anyway, a long time. I thought by popular demand I would make a really quick video about this whole AdSense, YouTube, Google tax change thing that they're just about to bring in. Quite a lot of people have been asking about it, and if you make money through AdSense in any way whatsoever, so not necessarily YouTube, it could be any form of AdSense income as far as I'm aware. So if you run adverts on your website, for example, or you do what I'm doing and you make YouTube videos and you make money through AdSense on YouTube, then this absolutely affects you. If you don't sort it out, you are potentially going to end up paying tax in the United States and tax in your home country as well. And you do not want to be paying tax on the same income twice. I did watch a video by YouTube about how straightforward it is to sort this out. The reality is far from it. When you start getting into international tax treaties and whatnot, it is not straightforward at all. But I'm going to take you through my approach to it for myself. I'm doing it as a limited company. If you aren't a limited company and you are a sole trader, self-employed, and you're doing it as an individual, you still need to do it. It might be very, very slightly different to the way that I'm doing things. I will talk about that in a minute, but I'm doing it from a limited company perspective. And I'm obviously in the UK as well, but I would presume wherever you are in the world, it's going to follow more or less the same kind of process. But you're going to get into the realms of what sort of tax treaties your country has with the United States. All I would say here as well is absolutely speak to an accountant about this. I am not an accountant. I am not qualified in any way to give you accountancy or legal advice. I'm just showing you how I'm doing it, and hopefully that'll benefit you in some sort of way. But if you want to play safe, you absolutely do need to speak to an accountant about this. I spoke to 3 separate accountants about this and none of them knew what to do. If you do know what to do and you are an accountant, please post down in the comments below. If you provide a link to your business as well, which I'm more than happy for you to do if you're going to help people out, as long as you're not getting kind of spammy and things. But links do get quarantined, so don't keep on posting the same thing over and over again, and I will release it as soon as I get a chance. Anyway, let me take you through what I'm going to do for this whole AdSense thing from a limited company perspective, and hopefully it's of some benefit to you. So log on to your Google AdSense account and you should get this banner towards the top of the screen saying that you need to provide this new tax information. If you don't have that banner, you should find it within the payments section, but if you haven't gone through this process yet, just click the option that says Manage Tax Info, and then that should take you directly to this where it says Manage Tax Information. It's in the Payment Settings Manage Tax Info area of AdSense. To get payouts from Google, make sure you provide your tax information. This will take a few minutes. Yeah, right. So click Add Tax Info. And as I say, I'm doing this as a limited company. If you are a self-employed sole trader, you would do it as an individual, but I'm doing it as a limited company, as I say, so I need to select the option non-individual or entity. So I am basically an entity. It's got this thing, is your name a DBA, doing business as name, or disregarded entity? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It doesn't really apply for myself, so I'm leaving that unchecked. And click Next. And it then says, is your entity organized or incorporated in the US? And it is not. It's a UK company, but again, if you're doing this as an individual, you shouldn't see this option coming up. So we'll just click Next. And then it says select the tax form type that you need to fill in. Generally speaking, it's going to be the W8BEN-E, which is basically the entity version of the 8BEN form. If you're doing it as an individual, well, I'll just show you that. So if I select the individual box, you'll see, are you a citizen or resident of the United States? Which I'm going to say no. And then the option is the W8BEN. But because I'm doing it as a limited company, it's the W8BEN-E. Then I'm just providing information specific to my limited company. So you would put your company name there, whatever it is, limited. You can't have punctuation, so don't put LTD dot, just leave the dot out. Doing business as name or disregarded entity, it says it's optional, so I just left that. Country of incorporation, United Kingdom. What is it? It's a corporation. It's actually a company. We don't really call it a corporation in the UK, but yeah, it's a limited company. Taxpayer identification number, it doesn't tell you what number it wants, so I used the company UTR. You should have a UTR, unique tax reference number, for your company. If you haven't, speak to HMRC and get one, and that is the number that I put in for the foreign tax identification number. And then just click next. And then it's asking for some address details. Now this is quite badly worded, and it says permanent residence address. I think what it means by that is what is your official registered address of the company, which in my case is my accountant. And yeah, so just put in your official, whatever it is on Company's House. And then below that you can add a postal address, and if you've got a personal address, I don't really see too many problems adding that in there. I don't think this is going to be made public anywhere, so as I say, you've got your registered company address at the top and then correspondence address at the bottom. And then we get into the slightly more complicated bit, and that is the tax treaty. Are you claiming a reduced rate of withholding tax under a tax treaty? Yes, we most certainly are, because we don't want to get taxed twice, as I say. So I've ticked the box that says resident of country claiming a treaty with the US, and then I've selected United Kingdom from the drop-down list. If your country isn't listed there, then I don't think you can claim any sort of tax treaty or tax benefits. You're going to end up having to pay tax in the United States, but because the UK has a tax treaty with the US, then we can benefit from that. And then it says, derives the item of income for which the treaty benefits are claimed. I'm assuming you have to tick that box because it doesn't let you not tick the box. And then it says, meet the requirements of the treaty provision dealing with the limitation on benefits. Again, you've got to tick the box. So yeah, you've basically got no option. And then we get to the limitation on benefits. Oh my word. So here's the various options you've got. Company that meets the derivative benefits test, company that meets the ownership, blah, blah, blah. You've got all these options. I've spoken to 3 separate accountants about this, and none of them know anything about this. I think it's a company that meets the ownership and base erosion test. And the only way I've managed to find that out is that I did a bit of a search on the HMRC site, and I found this HMRC internal manual. This is intended for HMRC staff, by the way. And it says in here, see DT 19882 for the main provisions. In most cases, this will be sufficient to determine entitlement, but in more difficult cases, the following further explanation may be useful. Qualified persons, and it gives you a whole load of terminology for what a qualified person is, but the only thing I can find that is relevant to a limited company in the UK is the option that says a legal entity that satisfies an ownership and base erosion test. So what is a base erosion test? And here we've got the definition of how is the base erosion test satisfied, and it's awful the way this is worded. It makes no sense. It's full of double negatives, but I think this is the one that applies. If there's any accountants watching, please let us know in the comments below. You can plug your business, add a link to your business. I'll de-quarantine it if it gets blocked. But yeah, if you know the answer to this, as I say, I've asked 3 separate accountants and none of them have ever come across this before. But it says the base erosion test is satisfied if less than 50% of the person's gross income for the relevant taxable or chargeable period is paid or accrued directly or indirectly to persons who are not UK or US residents in the form of payments that are tax deductible for the purposes of the taxes covered by the treaty in the country in which the person is resident. And by the way, YouTube very kindly, or AdSense very kindly, provide a link to the tax treaties. I think it's 130 page plus PDF of legal spiel for the UK tax treaty, and then there's a whole load of subsidiary documents that go off on that. So yeah, forget about trying to understand that yourself. As I say, most accountants I've spoken to don't really know what the answer to this is. So anyway, you can try and make sense of that awfully worded statement, but I think that is the one that applies. So all I've done is I've ticked those two boxes and I've selected the option company that meets the ownership and base erosion test. As I say, let us know in the comments if you think that is wrong. And then you can go through and tick all of your special rates and conditions, which I'm assuming all need to be put on 0%, because if you have it on anything other than that, you're going to end up paying double tax. You'll pay tax in the US and you'll pay tax in the UK, which you only want to be paying one set of tax. So we've got a couple of options. We've got services, AdSense. We've got motion picture and TV, which is YouTube and Google Play, and we've got other copyright, which is YouTube and Google Play. So I'm assuming for a YouTube channel, you're going to need to tick all three of these. You're going to need the AdSense one, and you're going to need these other two that cater for YouTube. So all I've done is I've ticked the boxes, and it gives you there's only one option that you can select. And for example, Article 7, Paragraph 1, reduced rate, Article 12 paragraph 1 reduced rate, and Article 12 paragraph 1 reduced rate for all three options, but it only gives you one option for each of those, so I assume that's correct. Anyway, once you've done that, click next. It will then give you a bit of a summary of everything that you've done. Just double check that you've filled it in all correctly, and you can download the forms that it will have automatically completed for you. But I think you can get access to these at any time, so I don't think you particularly need to download them, but it's probably good practice to download them for your records. And then you need to tick that I confirm that it's all correct and do next. Then all you need to do is certify it, and it says full legal name, signature of individual authorized to sign for the beneficial owner. So I would just put your full legal name in there if you are the main director and shareholder of the company, and click next. We've then got a couple more legal confirmations here. Activities and services performed in the US. These are the options that apply to me. I'll take you through it very quickly. Has the individual or entity identified in the tax identity section performed any activities and services for Google within the US? Well, no, I've performed all of my services for Google within the UK. I am UK based, the company is UK based, my videos and everything I do is done in the UK. I think what this is getting at is if you've got like an office in America, or you regularly fly over to America to produce your videos, maybe that would influence what you need to put there. But for me, it's a definite no. Everything I do is in the UK. If you operate a YouTube channel where you regularly fly over to the States and you're maybe employing people in the States to help you make your videos, then I would say that that wouldn't apply for you. I think you would need to speak to an accountant, probably in the US and maybe in the UK as well, to work out what you need to do in that situation. But for me, I don't make any videos in the States, so that just doesn't apply. And then we've got a status change affidavit as well. I think what this is basically getting at is it a brand new AdSense account or is it an existing one? It says, are you providing tax information for a new or existing payments profile that hasn't received payments, or an existing one? And for me, it's an existing one. The first option, I am providing tax info for a new or existing payments profile that hasn't received payments. That's not the case for me. So I'm definitely the second option. And it says, under penalties of perjury, I declare that the information and certification contained herein remained the same and unchanged except as provided below from 1st of January 2020 until the present, and were true, correct and complete for that time. My word, who writes this stuff? To the extent that there were any changes, please detail them here and include dates of relevant changes. It makes no sense, don't know what it means. It's optional for the changes box anyway. Once you've done all that, click submit, and when I click submit, wonderfully, it had timed out. So I had to fill out the entire thing again. I don't know how long you get to fill it in, but I would be fairly quick with it. You haven't got time to research stuff as you go. If you do, it'll time out by the looks of it, and you'll have to do it all again. But that said, you're on your own with this. As I say, YouTube provide no help outside a link to the IRS tax treaties, which are just meaningless for any normal person. So I don't know what you're supposed to do. And as I say, 3 accountants I've spoken to are equally in the dark. So do let us know in the comments below if you've got anything to add to this. Anyway, once you go through it all again, and hopefully it hasn't expired this time, then you should get a nice approval screen that looks a bit like this, and it should be approved immediately. So mine is showing the form W8 BEN-E for the limited company, and it's showing as approved, when it was approved, and just confirmation of everything that I've put on those forms. And as I say, I think from here you can download all the PDFs of those forms anyway. And that is it in a nutshell. It's quick to fill in, but understanding the information in it is not easy at all. And I think, frankly, it's criminal that YouTube are even telling people that this is easy to fill in. It is not easy to fill in unless you understand international tax treaties. As I say, and as per usual, I'm just showing you the way that I'm doing it for myself. I'm not saying this is the way you should do it. You need to speak to your accountant and you need to do your own research on this because, yeah, international tax treaties, they aren't straightforward. But hopefully by doing this, the whole objective is that we don't end up paying tax twice. We want zero tax being paid in the States, and then for my company, I will pay corporation tax in the UK. If you're self-employed, you would pay income tax through self-assessment in the UK. As I say, don't pay tax twice. I hope you found that useful. If you've got anything to add, or maybe you've spoken to your accountants about this and maybe you can confirm or tell us anything that I've got wrong, please do post it in the comments below and we can all benefit from everyone's knowledge on this. In the meantime, folks, take care and I shall see you next time. Tatty bye.